What a wonderful high-class venue. What a sophisticated cosmopolitan audience. What a warm and genial host. Yeah, I think it was the first flame that Phil tagged Charles as the keeper of the flame. I think that's a great title and a great job description. Now, here it is. Here is the flame. And now this flame goes way, way back. Not like the one I'm about here, but it goes back to the beginning, the dawn of the Anthropocene age, when people like us gathered around nomadic campfires, and we discovered what we could do with these phonemes, these little things called words, language. Many stories have been told since then, and it's nice to be part of that tradition. What I've noticed that's really interesting is that almost everyone, not everyone, but most of us who've got up here have taken unscripted true stories to be stories we take as a springboard to dive into reminiscences of our own experience. It's as if we have this built-in thing that only something we experienced ourselves could possibly be true. And we thought that was only the younger generation that thought like that. Okay, so we tell stories to pass on our experience for other people to make their own. But the I of the narrator sometimes gets in the way. It brands the experience as someone else's, not your experience. I work a lot as an editor, at least in this life, and that means helping people tell their stories. And the advice that I give, which is the old advice, is usually show, don't tell. But stories are really observations, closely observed experiences, realities. And Buddhism tells us that all experiences are basically transient, even though most personally would. The Buddha says even that ultimately, if you observe really closely, there is no self. So I'm going to try and tell the story just a little differently. Okay. So it starts very traditionally. Once upon a time, far, far away, a boy was growing up on a small island in the great southern ocean. This is the Kamishibai kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so it was a kind of hunting and fishing and veggie growing kind of country living kind of place. And you've heard of the Tasmanian devil or Tasmanian tiger, okay. In this family's vegetable patch, the dominant predators were rabbits. The boy's father would blast them with a shotgun before he went off to his day job in the city. And the boy would gut the rabbits and skin them and take the skins out inside out to dry before catching the school bus to the local elementary school. You've heard of the famous pristine singing sands of Kodabiki-hama. Okay, the boy's island where he grew up had hundreds of pure white koto plain beaches. And he and his father fished those ocean-swept beaches rigorously until the boy got a little tired of what Buddhists call saving fish from drowning. He started to read the great book of the tides. Every new tide, a fresh page. He found shells, of course. He learned their Latin names. This one is Umbilia hesitata. Isn't that a beautiful name?
Oh, yeah.
That's not bad for 50 years ago. He found driftwood. He found seaweed. He found, incredibly, he found evidence of alien life. This was in the early 60s, so a lot of talk about flying saucers and stuff like that. Beginning of the new wave. Bamboo is not native to Tasmania. Neither are tatami top zori or Suntory whiskey bottles or Seven Stars cigarette packets or fishing tags emblazoned with calligraphic kanji. But when you look at kanji for the first time, they do look kind of Martian. So the mystery was solved. The very first Japanese tuna fishing boat pulled into the wharf at the boy's hometown, which is Hobart, old whaling town. And the boy and his father went down to gawk at this alien ship. And the local newspaper photographer happened to be there and saw this photo opportunity and shared that 10-year-old boy's first connection with Japan with the rest of the state. Like this. Okay. As I said, show and tell. More connections with Japan. The first tiny battery transistor radio. That was the real music revolution before the Walkman and the Wi-Fi, whatever that is. There was cultural beachcombing, basho, monkey's raincoat, seishonagon, pillow book, tanizaki, kawabata, kurosawa, etc. About 20 years later, in 1982, the boy was on a plane headed for Narita with a working holiday visa. And he was filling out the disembarkation card and he found some kanji. I thought, this might be useful. Copy them down, like male, female, day, month, year. Year's a bit difficult, but okay. So I'm fully prepared. The first day in Tokyo, Ueno, in the morning, first thing you see is a Japanese woman walking her rabbit on a lead. She stops and ties it up to a tree and goes into a grocery store. And the boy kind of thinks, well, that must be just an everyday occurrence in Japan. That's it every day, okay. But Tokyo was a little bit too vast and too frenetic, and basho and seishonagon never mentioned pachinko, you know. He left for Kyoto. He didn't go back to Tokyo for 20 years. True. In Kyoto, he stayed in Okazaki. It happened to be Jizobon time. Narrow streets full of beautiful hand-decorated lanterns painted by the children from the houses, real candles, magical. Again, he assumed this was Japan all the time. How would he know? It was a nice time in Kyoto. You would see other foreigners across the street and you would wave to each other. He didn't know if that was just a Kyoto thing or if foreigners did that everywhere in Asia, you know. He visited Zen gardens. They reminded him of beaches when the tide was out. He liked the Hankyu railway. The trains come in and they rock beside the platform like boats beside the wharf. He wrote a poem called Fish. I know it's not supposed to be unscripted, but neon pulse, dreaming river, stone bridge, people flowing under cities, subway torrent, thousands of clean blue suits, white shirts, bright dresses, jewellery and makeup, beautiful women shivering in coral colours, unapproachable as sea nymphs. I'm a stranger here, with eyes the wrong shape. Perhaps I stare. They feel my different shaped glances, and look around. Look, unmasked, uncamouflaged, goggling, gaijin man, lips pursed, eyes popping. It's actually published in the Kaleidoscope, the first magazine that I ever worked on. I'm still working here, which I've got a journal. Okay, keep going. Like many others, before and since, he, not long after that, quite unexpectedly met up with the most amazing and beautiful Japanese woman of all. And, of course, his Japanese, her English, was about equally non-existent, but they got by. She knew the indispensable expression, no problem. And he knew, no, it's hard to have arguments. So they became friends, they learned Tai Chi together, eventually they got married, and later they had a son, who by some unaccounted miracle of genetics is fully bilingual. How's that happen? So, okay, but did this lucky beachcomber ever actually see the real Japan? I think he did. Okay, I'm going to switch gears for this last part. Imagine you're living in Okazaki, just off Gingamichi. It's November, cold night, it's after midnight. You're in the kotatsu, of course. You're watching TV on a cherry red 12-inch black and white set. And suddenly, in the usual state of suspended disbelief at Japanese TV, and suddenly the image shrinks to this vortex pinhole. The lights go off, the kotatsu dies, and it's the first unscheduled power outage since the war. Okay. And since then, I think it's the only unscheduled power outage that I've ever experienced, the boy had ever experienced in Japan. So, okay, it's you. Sorry, so you leap out of the kotatsu, you bounce off the walls in the darkness, you feel your way to the genkan, you fumble for mismatched shoes, you make a dash for the street, you head for the pedestrian overpass on Sanjo, up the steps. You look out over the sleeping city. It's half moon, silver frost on the dark tile roofs, like a frozen sea. Roofs of the shops, the houses, the temples, pagodas, stretching out to the foothills of Mount Hiei, to Higashiyama. It's a frozen ocean, absolutely silent. Immense peace, immeasurable tranquility. What you're seeing is not just Kyoto, it's the ancient city of Heian Kyo. It's silent until all across town dogs start barking and howling at the utter impossibility of a Kyoto night without neon streetlights, vending machines. It is a wonderful world of transience that we live in, and that we have the words to describe, even if ultimately there is no self.